Spencer Frantz, a lifelong resident of the Roanoke Valley, an aviator and banjo player who carried on a family tradition of business success and service to the community. Spencer Frantz had industry in his blood, and he got it from his family. His maternal grandfather, E.B. Spencer, for whom he was named, was the CEO of National Exchange Bank. Meanwhile, James Frantz, grandfather on his father's side, ran an auto dealership in Roanoke in 1914 before founding Graham White. Young Spencer, the middle of three boys, perhaps had no idea of the lineage he and his brothers inherited, but it would become apparent soon enough. The Frantz name was never added to Graham White, although the Frantz family would dominate the company's development. James Frantz joined Will White, a local railway pipe fitter, and investor John Graham in creating the White American Locomotive Sander Company, which produced devices that sanded the railroad tracks to give engines better traction. In 1925, the company would emerge from the throes of World War I as Graham White Sander Corporation, with James Frantz as the vice president and Graham and White out of the picture. By this time, Spencer's father, Virgil, had arrived at the business, which did well until the Great Depression. During that time, the company's business was so slow the family fell back to produce and orchards to survive. But the orchards on the family farm near the site of today's Hanging Rock Golf Course were successful, producing 50,000 to 60,000 bushels of apples a year and half as many peaches. The Dunroven farm also had dairy cattle, pigs, and goats, but it was the Tennessee walking horses that captured the most attention. The Frantz boys and Mother Dolly rode the horses and won many ribbons at horse shows along the East Coast. Spencer and his brothers Lanier and Bolden learned the farming and orchard business, the value of hard work, and therefore the value of an education. Young Spencer attended Roanoke City schools early on, and later Andrew Lewis High School before attending a New York boarding school for his final 2 years. He graduated from Washington and Lee University in 1954 with a Bachelor of Science degree in Commerce and a second lieutenant commission in the Army. Spencer served on active duty, first at Fort Eustis, then in Greenland, where he remembered one Easter Sunday when the high temperature was 19 degrees below zero. The article, Men Against the Ice Cap, details the heroics of Spencer's unit, which was the first to experience movement over the 1,800-mile Greenland ice cap during the winter blackout, battling blizzards, crevasses, and whiteouts. Spencer remains friends with many of the men from that unit to this day. Somewhere between Greenland and college, a friend introduced Spencer to a Southern lady from Charlotte, Joy Dixon. They were married just after college, but Joy stayed in Charlotte while Spencer fought the war and the weather in Greenland. With that behind him, Spencer joined Graham White from 1958 to 1968, working in purchasing and benefits before becoming treasurer. The Frantz boys had a love for aviation, and Spencer was no exception. He learned to fly on the GI Bill and eventually got a commercial pilot's license with a multi-engine, instrument, and glider rating. Older brother Lanier, who also liked planes, liked the water as well. He worked management positions at Graham White and ran the Frantz Supply Division, which was a retailer and distributor of boats. The Frantz entrepreneurial spirit emerged other places as well. Spencer and Lanier were involved in the purchase of the Tread Corporation, which distributed high explosives to the mining and construction industries. The successful company was sold in 1987, but not before developing and releasing Treadlock gun safes, the first safes targeting the shooting sports industry. While business grew, so did Spencer's family. He and Joy had 2 boys of their own, Jim and Robert. Spencer's business success was always second to his love of family. He and Joy put family commitments first and enjoyed many family adventures. Meanwhile, Graham White chugged along and outgrew its space in South Roanoke. The family moved the business to a location on Colorado Street in Salem. A small foundry was added to the business, as was a new line of innovative products, including air dryers which remove moisture from compressed air systems in locomotives. Others were the bell ringer, which warned of moving locomotives in rail yards, and an electronic parking brake for locomotives. In the 1980s, the company had more growing pains and moved across the street to the former Eaton-Yale building, where, once the floor was raised out of the floodplain, Graham White had a whopping 309,000 square feet of space. In 1988, Spencer Frantz returned to Graham White, succeeding his father as president and CEO, while Lanier Frantz became chairman of the board. Spencer saw opportunity in the engineering and product development arena and moved the department from one man to a team. He also introduced strategic planning and is credited with building a team approach. Meanwhile, Spencer had taken a love of backpacking to new heights as he took up mountain climbing. He climbed the highest mountain in the lower 48, Mount Whitney, and later scaled Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest point in Africa at 19,340 feet. In 1997, Spencer and his two sons made a failed attempt to climb Mount Rainier in Washington state. As his sons got older, it was easy to see that apples don't fall far from the tree. Like their father, uncle, and grandfather, they also attended Washington and Lee University. Jim received an MBA from Wake Forest, and Robert from the highly regarded Thunderbird School in Arizona. Robert would go into the banking industry, while Jim would succeed Spencer eventually as Graham White's president and CEO. Spencer Frantz's contributions to the community around him and his love for the outdoors should not go without notice. A recipient of the YMCA National Mission Award, he is past president of YMCA of Roanoke Valley and provided leadership for the annual Partners of Youth campaigns. He also co-chaired the 1998 campaign to build a new YMCA in Salem and is the honorary chair of the current campaign for further expansion. He has ongoing roles in development with the Salem Museum and Historical Society, the United Way, and next year will chair the annual Friends of Scouting for the Catawba District. In 1999, he received the Outstanding Volunteer Fundraiser Award from the National Society of Fundraising Executives. A devoted Presbyterian, he served as church elder, Sunday school teacher, and trustee and chairman of the Board of Deacons for his church. On the business end, Spencer served on the boards of Boxley Materials Company, Liberty Mutual Insurance Company, and the Bank of Virginia. No discussion of Spencer is complete without a mention of the banjo and the harmonica. Spencer is famous for being able to unwind by picking the 5-string banjo that belonged to his father. He entertains friends and family with his harmonica, and it has been said that he found it to be a remarkable fundraising tool as well. It's not unusual to see him driving around town in his original 1953 MG TD. He stays in shape by playing racquetball and working out with a personal trainer. As a teenager, he learned to explore caves and still enjoys it to this day. Ever the outdoorsman, he also enjoys hunting and spending time with sons Jim and Robert and their wives, Janet and Sherry, and the grandkids. The family often gathers at their log cabin near Eagle Rock. As Graham White celebrates its 95th anniversary in 2009, Spencer and his brothers are still close, which they attribute to their mother Dolly, who showed deep love to the entire family. Back to airplanes quickly, Spencer says his brothers surpass him in flying skill and experience, as does son Jim, who flies the company's Cessna Mustang on business trips. A believer in the golden rule in business and personally, today Spencer Frantz is vice chair of Graham White and still a devoted churchgoer, community servant, father, grandfather, and husband. He and Joy have been married for 55 years. He's also the latest inductee into the Junior Achievement Business Hall of Fame.